News and views right here on Salam Media with myself, Salalo Makwidiri. And now we'll be turning our attention to a very, very deeply disturbing development in India, where hate-filled songs targeting Muslims are going viral in the aftermath of that deadly attack in Kashmir. There's incendiary tracks are part of what's being called Hindutva pop. They are a mechanism to fueling Islamophobia, violence against Muslims across India. They call for, they're calling Muslims traitors. They're demanding boycotts of Muslim-owned businesses and even urge Hindus to take up arms. Meanwhile, reports are showing a surge in real-world attacks. Kashmiris evicted from their homes, Muslim vendors being assaulted, and chillingly, patients denied medical care because of their faith, because they are, well, simply Muslims. I think at this point we can all agree this is not just fringe extremism. BJP leaders, which is the government of the day in India, its leaders are openly calling for economic boycotts against Muslims, while government-aligned groups organize protests dripping with hate speech. The digital hate is also spilling on the streets and is being amplified by these catchy, weaponized songs. And joining me now to unpack this alarming trend is journalist and research scholar Aasif Mujtaba. He's based in New Delhi and is coming to us live from there. And he's been closely tracking, the rise of anti-Muslim rhetoric and violence in India. Aasif, welcome to the show. Welcome to Salam Media. Really, really appreciate your time, and Jazakallah so much for giving us your time.
Thank you so much for letting me here and discuss on this very important concern.
No, the pleasure is all ours. I think, if you can just start by setting the scene for us. I think we've all known that, the subcontinent of India has always, had issues when it comes to Islamophobia. It's not just, happening online. There've been a lot of recorded instances where there's been direct attacks on Muslim people, even before, this attack that unfortunately has happened in Kashmir. If you can just set the scene for us and paint a picture about, the current events and what's currently happening to Muslims and how they are being victimized, essentially.
See, there are two different aspects to it. One of the aspects would be what happened on April 22nd when the local militants, they attacked on Kashmiri. I mean, the tourists went to Kashmir and 26 innocent people were murdered there. So, and in the aftermath of the violence, the entire country went into a denial phase, right? So we started denying our lapses of security on our end. We started denying, we have started we didn't ask question from the government that how it happened that 4 or 5 tourists, they came deep inside the Indian territories, and despite having so much of security presence, they opened fire, they killed people, and they went back. But what they did, they turned their hatred toward Pakistan to hatred towards India. So that is something that happened after April 22nd attack. But the other thing, which is a structural problem here, has been going on for decades. As a journalist, I have been documenting these series of operations against Muslims for the past 5 years. And if we go back another 5 years, so starting from 2014, there is a series of targeted attacks on Muslims for their faith, for what they eat, for the eating practices, for what they wear, for where they offer namaz. So it has been going on. Hindutva pop is it's not a new phenomena. It has been there for decades. So whenever there is a Hindu festival, they do provocate the Muslims. They provoke Muslims, singing songs outside their mosque and creating ruckus. I have seen and have worked with the survivors of the violence in 22nd, 2022, 23, 24, 25. Every year, on the occasion of Hindu festival, you see this pop music being played, Muslim being provoked, violence is being created. So that's one part. The third segment to it would be every day, large number of Muslim houses, Muslim shops, Muslim masjids, Muslims madrasas, they are being demolished. So clubbing all these things together, there was always a hate towards Muslims in India for the past. In the last 10 years, after coming up the Hindutva nationalists to power, this hatred proliferated like anything. So there was palpable, I mean, a visual ground for Muslim to be lynched. We have documented more than 100 occasions where Muslims were lynched because of their faith, murdered on the broad daylight for their practices, for their faith, for what they wear. In 2014, right after Modi came to power, a guy called Mohsin Sheikh was lynched to death just because he looked like a Muslim.
Mm.
Muslim houses are being demolished like anything, right? So there was a hatred deep down in the mindset of the community for long. After coming up of the Hindutva government, it got a push. So for past 10 years, we are seeing an unimaginable and unprecedented scale of hatred against Muslim, and this hatred is often depicted in form of violence. So large scale violences are happening across all the North Indian states, I mean multiple states. The third is, after the Pahalgam attack in April, there have been more than 50 cases of documented cases of attack, not sparing a kids as young as 12 years. So yesterday, in a place called Aligarh, that is hardly 100 kilometers from the capital, a boy was picked, trashly beaten, and he was forced to urinate on a Pakistani flag, all in broad public view. So whatever happened before Rwanda and genocide, right? The way a community was demeaned, the way a people was, I mean, conveniently termed as the other, and we have seen the BJP minister terming Muslims as termites, right? We have seen the ministers in power, I mean, cabinet ministers talking about a final solution. We have seen journalists in India, I mean, every mainstream journalist in India is fomenting hate towards Muslims. So when you open any prime debate of any news channel here, you see they are all on the way of terming Muslims a culprit, right? Millions of people do watch their shows. So an anger is being built. And I say a fictitious anger is being built, a fictitious enemy is being created, a fictitious otherization is happening, and this, as I have said earlier, is going to be, I mean, going to have a large scale implication in terms of like I would say genocide in times to come. So this is very terrifying situation that is being developed.
No, I
Almost a
think
week, I would say more than a week has passed. The government has not at all given details of what happened. Like 5 years back, before the election, there was a major attack in Pulwama. More than 50 army personnel they were killed in that attack. And on the wave of nationalism and the greater sentiments, Modi came to power again. 5 years have passed, but the government has still not made accountability of that attack. Who did that attack? How large-scale explosive came to India? Who is responsible for the failure of the security? Nothing happened. And the same is going to happen with Pahalgam. So a lot of people in India are questioning the credibility of the Indian state of these happening. If an attack has happened, just let us know how it happened. And just make people, I mean, accountable to it. Rather than lynching innocent Muslim, rather than trashing innocent Muslim, the accountability has to be fixed by the state. So the developments are very terrifying. I mean, it's very problematic for the community who is already at the margin. Muslims have been demeaned like anything. So in India, just because you look like Muslims, you can get easily killed. So this is happening. This is.
I think a very, very concerning, turn of events that you're painting there, Asif. And I want to focus on, if there's any kind of recourse, is there any kind of accountability? Are there any legal challenges, to this hate speech? Are there any legal challenges to some of these violent acts that you mentioned? Or is the system too compromised to hold perpetrators accountable?
Yes. See, you already gave answer to it. all the machinery of a state in India, especially the executive of the day, the legislature that makes a bill. Just almost 15 days back, they passed a legislature called Waqf Amendment, and in that communal legislature, they are going to usurp the powers and the area land owned by Muslim Waqf. And at the same time, the Supreme Court and the High Court and the lower courts, all these courts of judiciary of India are highly compromised, right? So as a Muslim, I don't see any justice coming in, right, from any parts of the state. No, the entirety of the legislature has failed, the entirety of the executive has failed, the entirety of the judiciary has failed. And the most troubling part is the way you see judiciary being compromised, because the government of the day at any moment comes from the election. Election is won by majority in democracy. If a majority is communal, if a majority is biased, you cannot expect a neutral government to come to power. But to check the madness of the chosen legislature, there is something called courts of law. In India, the courts of law have failed the aspiration of Muslims on many counts. In December 2019, there was a contentious, criminal, bigoted legislation that was passed. It's called CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act. That is totally against many of the constitutional articles. Lot of petitions were filed before the Supreme Court. 172 petitions were filed before the Supreme Court, and these 172 were those who were filed by notable Muslim scholars and institutions. 5 years have passed, no credible hearing, no credible observation, no credible judgment came from the Supreme Court. Every day, at nook and corner of a lot of places in India, you see hate speeches. Muslims are termed as termite, people talking about final solution, people saying that we will rape their women, people saying that if 26 people are killed in Pahalgam, we will kill 2,600 Muslims, Muslim lynched, Muslims murdered, Muslims politicians, shot dead in broad police protection. It has been happening. And in none of the cases, I would say not a single case, someone has been persecuted. Supreme Court's observation 2 months back, Supreme Court, there was one of the phenomena that has plagued Indian Muslim like anything, that was demolition. So on any fictitious charge, your house, your shop, your masjid, your madrasa, can be demolished. Police will come in the morning, they demolish it. Supreme Court had a very strong verbal observation 2 months back when it came heavily on the executive. It said, even if someone is culprit, even if someone has committed a crime, you cannot and you must not demolish their houses. This came from the floor of Supreme Court, right? Clearly mentioning that even if someone has committed a crime, without due process of law, without a trial, without accountability being fixed, without charge sheet being done, you cannot demolish. What happened after April 22nd? 7 houses belonging to the so-called militants, they were demolished. 1 or 2 cases, the army put RDX there and they blasted the house. Isn't it a direct violation of the Supreme Court's observation? Even if someone has committed a crime, it is against the principle of natural justice to punish them unheard. You should ask them, you should frame charges. The deliberation should be done on the court. Let court fix it. Supreme Court's observation, Supreme Court, what Supreme Court said was bluntly abused at Kashmir. Did Supreme Court utter a word? No. Supreme Court should have come heavily on the executive. How dare you, demolish the houses despite our clear warning? Nothing happened. So all courts of law in India have been compromised with this a wave of nationalism. I won't say nationalism. See, it's jingoism going on. So if you kill a Muslim after the attack of Pahalgam, rather than putting the accountability of the state at front, you're doing a good job. People are calling, giving ultimatum for Muslim to vacate a town. This is happening in a lot of the places in Uttarakhand. Muslims have been given ultimatum to, leave the town at the first place. So they say, if you find you again, we are going to kill you. All
Very, very
documented.
concerning.
Very concerning.
Asif, sure. I took some time, while I was busy doing my research on this, Hindutva pop phenomenon that seems to be the craze right now. Some of the songs and speeches keep on referencing Palestine, even urging India to respond like Israel, with the current genocide, that's happening against the people of Gaza. Is this becoming a new thing where, the Gaza genocide is being weaponized against Indian Muslims?
See, I won't say this is a new phenomenon. Almost a decade back, Kashmir has always had this unrest for long. So there was a surge of militancy in the 1990s when the rightful aspirations of Kashmiris were denied. So there was a general election that happened, and the New Delhi, the central government was accused of triggering, the election. They say we were not given a fair chance. And after that election, when the results came, I'm talking about 89, 90 wala phase in India. So a large scale militancy happened. And from that day till today, after the abrogation of 370 in 2019, a number of events has happened in which you see in 2008, a boy named Tufail Matu, he was shot dead by the security personnel. And women being raped in Sofia. Occasions like this has happened many a times. But every time you hear Israel lacks solution, every time. And after the October 7 attack last year, this, I would say, this thing has just proliferated. So they say ki, what Israel is doing in Palestine, India must do with Kashmir. And I won't say these are just mere words. It is actually happening. Right? So one of the phenomena that is very rampant in Palestine is the way Israelis obliterate their houses. So army will come, they will bulldoze their houses in Broadview. The Israeli army will come, they will bombard the Palestinian houses. It has been happening since long. Their olive farms will be uprooted. A lot of things happening. Indian government in Kashmir, they have been applying the same modus. The orchid farms have been destroyed, the houses being bulldozed, something like that. So there is same narrative that is being played in India in regard to Israel, right? So any Indian, any person, sane person who supported the Palestinian cause, they don't support Palestinian cause being a Muslim or being a Hindu or being a Jew. I support Palestinian cause being a human being, because the Palestinian crisis is not a religious crisis, it's a humanity crisis, right? So they have started this. So in India, a lot of places, the Pakistani flags have been pasted on the ground. So you have to walk over it. And along with the Pakistani flag, these people are posting Palestinian flags. What Palestinian people have done to India? Palestine always had a good relation with India. Palestine always had been India's friend. We had very great relationship with Palestine in the past. Palestinian premier, the people will come to India. At the time of Indira and Nehru, Palestine was one of our best friends. So it doesn't say. So this is all, Hindutva is finding coherence with Zionism. So what is the idea of Zionism there in Palestine-Israeli conflict is the same thing that is happening in India, bigoted, distorted, I would say a corrupt, communal, and a very anti-human idea that these both Hindutva and Zionism are propagating. So they are finding like friendship, camaraderie here. The way they are killing innocent Palestinians there, let's kill innocent Muslims here in India. So this is like
very, very concerning. Finally, Asif, if this hate campaign continues unchecked, where does India go from here? Are we witnessing a genocidal tipping point, dare I say?
See, 3 years back, I said the same. We are on the tipping time bomb of genocide. We are Gregory Stanton, the guy who gave 10 stages of genocide. He already said India is on the ninth stage. So Muslims have been successfully otherized in India. They are less human, right? So this has all been peddled for decades, and successfully they filled these narrative into mindset. So Muslims have been treated, they have been successfully considered as the other, less human, right? So
Mm.
a ground is already there. If you, I said Muslims have been lynched on many occasions because of they look like Muslims. What else do you expect? Muslims were linked on the name of cow. Muslims were linked on the name of visible Muslimness. And now Muslims are linked based on their names. So just a Muslim name is enough. 2 years back, a guy in Madhya Pradesh killed a Hindu. When police asked, why did you kill him? He said, I thought he's a Muslim. So just because
Mm.
you think Muslim, you got all the license to kill. A guy killed Muslim, burnt him alive, live streamed it, and he felt very proud in doing it. So a stage is already set in India, and any given day you can see it will culminate into large scale genocide because the machineries of state has failed, the judiciary is highly compromised, there is no check and balance mechanism here. So this all points towards a grave, I would say, concerning genocidal thing that is going to happen
Mm.
by all
Mm.
possibilities.
Yeah, a very critical conversation. I think on the dangerous crossroads that India is facing today. Asif, thank you so much for joining us on News and Views. Really, really appreciate your insights and the painting of that very, very gloomy picture when it comes to the lived realities of Muslims in India. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
That was Asif Mujtaba coming to us live from New Delhi. And yeah, very, very concerning picture that he's painting when it comes to the lived realities of Muslims in India and the correlation, between that and what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Gaza, where the BJP, the Indian government, is seemingly taking a script out of the book of the Israeli genocidal machine and implementing it not only in Kashmir but on the rest of the Indian subcontinent, with the targets obviously being Muslim Indians. So yeah, very, very concerning turn of events, and it makes you wonder, with the ground so fertile for a genocide, are we likely, and hopefully we won't, but are we likely to see a genocide perpetuated against the minority Indian Muslims unfold in India? Very, very concerning turn of events in that part of the world. And it'll be only interesting to see how it is handled going forward. We're going to take a quick break. News and Views will continue after this.